Welcome to Real Estate Game Changers Radio, featuring real estate trendsetters and industry influencers, sharing tips and strategies to help home buyers and home sellers get the most out of their next real estate transaction. Now, here's your host, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram, and I'm very excited to have on Real Estate Game Changers Radio today, David Feldberg. He lives in the most beautiful area in the world, as far as I'm concerned, in Newport Beach. He is just a wonderful, wonderful person. I'm so excited for our listeners to meet him today. He started out in real estate financing. So that was really great that he had that background in banks and, you know, how brokers underwrite loans, and that basically led for him to have a really, really good understanding of real estate when he went into real estate in 2003. And since then, he's just been taking it by storm and helped hundreds of clients with their real estate needs. You've got to go to his website. We'll mention it at the end, but his listings are in the most beautiful area. I'm not kidding you. And David just loves meeting people and helping people. And not only that, but one of the things that I really like about David is what he does on the side, which is helping dogs, fostering dogs, and helping raise funds for dog rescue, which we will talk about in a minute. And another thing that's really great about David is that he loves helping first home buyers. So I want to ask him about that too. So without further ado, let's get started. So welcome to the show, David.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Great. Thank you for being here. The first thing I want to ask you is, what do you love about your career in real estate? Because I know that you do.
I do, very much. The way I mean, most times everyone's homes are their largest investment. So it's a big vote of trust when somebody's enlisting me to help them buy or sell their largest investment, their largest asset. So, and I'm very hands-on. So I have a 2-month, 45-day, usually to 60-day period where we are very involved in each other's lives. So you develop some very meaningful friendships and, very lasting friendships. And I feel like it's a very big vote of trust from my clients. And I really enjoy that bond that as we go through that process together. And people are very excited when they get the keys to their new home.
Yes, I know. And especially the first home buyers. Isn't that just amazing to work with first home buyers?
So first time home buyers are really my favorite.
Yeah.
They are also the most work because they have the most questions. Yeah. But they're always good questions and they're very nervous. And as long as you can make the process, you explain the process very, very well, they are so happy when they get their first set of keys. It's awesome. There's usually a bottle of champagne and big toast and lots of fun. Everybody's real excited.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about first home buyers. So what are some of the misconceptions that they might have or misunderstandings?
Well, first of all, unless they're an attorney, the amount of paperwork that comes through can be very daunting.
Oh,
Plus,
yeah. It's
a language that they're not necessarily familiar with. I mean, if they work in real estate or finance, then the language might make sense, but it's a different language. So and when you're signing all this paperwork and you've got to sign your name 100 times plus, you're wondering, what am I signing and what am I getting myself into? So that's an area where you really got to take some time and go through what are you signing. And because I've worked in finance, the loan side of things as well as the real estate side of things for a long time, you can't stump me. I know what's going to be on that paperwork, and I can walk them through and explain not only what's there, but why is it there. And it usually puts their nerves at ease.
Oh, that's good. So they feel like you've got their back and you're protecting them.
Very much so.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And they need that. They absolutely need a realtor that's going to be like that for them.
Absolutely. I'm a big advocate of only handling one side of the transaction for that exact reason. You need somebody in your corner.
Oh, yeah.
You shouldn't have someone who's my belief, you shouldn't have someone who's representing both the seller and buyer, because then who they working for?
Oh, exactly.
So
that's
a
really good
always
point.
know I'm working for them.
Yeah, yeah. Now, do you have a team? What would happen if you were in a situation where that you had a listing and then a buyer came along and didn't have an agent? Would you refer them to someone on your team, or what do you do with that situation?
I do. I have 7 agents that work in my brokerage.
Good.
So I'll just make sure they get their own representation because it's important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and still within your team, which is perfect because you know the ethics and the work habits of everybody on your team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're not allowed to handle both sides of the transaction in my brokerage. So everyone has to do this so that always buyer and seller have their own advocate. Mm-hmm. So it works out well. And I know the people on the other end of the transaction. I know they're good. So it usually works out great. Good.
So speaking of that sounds like one of your guiding principles. What are some of your other guiding principles as a business person?
Ethics. Got to be ethical. There's a lot of areas in which you could be not ethical, and you really have to make sure to keep the course. Yeah. I also look at for my own personal goals for my career. I always look at number of deals, not necessarily the size of the deal. And that's a big thing in my market because on a home in Newport on the water that, starts around $5 million, that could potentially be a very large paycheck to an agent. Yeah. I will treat someone who's selling a condo for $250,000 the same as I'm going to treat someone else who's selling that waterfront home, because you never know where that next referral is going to come from. And everybody is trusting me with their investment. Right. So I really, that's one of the things I try to focus on is number of transactions, not necessarily the size of the transaction. And that's served me well in business, and just always put the client first.
That's a really good point. I haven't heard anyone explain it that way before, but it makes sense. And it's all relative because $5 million to one person could be the same feeling as $250,000 to another.
Still their largest investment.
Yeah. And maybe they've saved, saved for years to make that $250,000. So you never know where someone's coming from. And
I've actually, it's funny that we're talking about this. My smallest transaction ever, the one I really didn't want to do because it really was going to be not really worth my time, was the one who was so happy she cried at the end of it.
Oh my gosh. You just changed her life.
To be fair, just to prove your point, it's a huge deal to that person, even though it's not as big of a deal to others.
Yes. Absolutely. I always say that to my kids and to anybody who will listen. You never know how you might change someone's life, and it's just simple as little things sometimes, But that's great. Oh, that's lovely. And tell me more about that. Can you tell me the story of that, how that happened, and who she was?
So I have done in my career one manufactured home. That is it. They're usually very, very small, and I'm a very hands-on broker in that I do everything myself. I want to control every piece of the transaction and do it myself because I know how it needs to be done. I'm a little nuts like that. So with this one, it was really, this isn't really going to be a good use of my time. So as a broker owner, I have wear a lot of hats. So anyway, this woman, I talked to her, and she had been taken advantage of by two prior brokers. Someone who said, hey, pay me $5,000. I'll list your house. Which should never happen.
Oh, no.
And she did it because she's trusting. But she was a cleaning gal who had cleaned houses and saved up this money over 20 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Bought a house, tried to flip it, and was just getting taken advantage of again and again.
Oh, poor thing.
It was awful. So she was, and I treated her like with respect, as a good agent should. Yeah. And, that was why she was so happy. But she got taken advantage of by two separate agents, both that ran off with money from her, which was $5,000 to this woman was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And she was about to go belly up on it. She was going to have to get back the home. And she was just so relieved when it was done. She was like, she was in her mid-60s. And I remember showing up at the end, and she had a bottle of tequila on the counter and was wearing a sombrero and was so happy. She wanted to have a toast.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. She
was
so
my
sweet.
Gosh. Oh, that's great. And you saved the day. That's so wonderful. And those sort of things, you're right. It's not about the money at all. It's about how you've changed her life and helped her and taken care of her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your dog rescue stuff that you do. How did you get involved with that?
So I've always had dogs my whole life. When my wife and I got married, I had a dog that I had since my early 20s, and unfortunately had to put her down. And she was like, I wasn't ready to get another dog yet. So she said, let's foster dogs. Let's just foster a dog. So it was temporary and we still have a dog in the house. So I said, okay, not ready to bring a new one in yet. I'm still hurt from from putting down my last dog. And so immediately we fell in love with this little, dog. And I saw when he came to us, he was so scraggly and malnutritioned. And in 6 months, he went from looking like a little rat with no fur to this beautiful, white, fluffy dog that was very loving. Oh. So, of course, we kept him. We called him our foster failure. Yeah, and, I know. and thus began our journey. And now we have 2 of our own and anywhere between 1 to 2 fosters at any given time. Oh. And it's a wonderful experience. We also have a toddler who
like a human being toddler?
A lot of different dogs. A human being toddler.
Oh, that's nice.
And meet a lot of new dogs. And we usually take, because we have a toddler, we take the cases that are typically a little harder. Usually like senior dogs, or our last one had no teeth, so we named him Willie Nelson. So he stayed with us. He stayed with us for a long time. Aww. And then found a great home. So it's a really, really amazing thing. And I actually, through the dog rescue, anyone who comes to me in business through the dog rescue, I donate a percentage of the proceeds of the profit to the dog rescue. Oh,
that's fantastic. Good for you. It's easy to do that way. I do that with my business too, to support things that I believe in. And I got to tell you, when my daughter was really little, we have 3 kids, and when the oldest one was very young, about 2 or 3 years old, she kept saying, I want a dog, I want a dog, I want a dog. And I just wasn't a dog person at the time. And I thought, I don't need a dog. I got 3 kids, and and then 1 more kid, and so finally we said, yes, you can have a dog one day, and she kept pressing us, when? So we said, I don't know, when you're 10, and we didn't really realize one day she really would be 10.
And asked for the dog?
Oh, yeah, she remembered the day of her 10th birthday, where's the dog? I was like, oh, no. And we ended up rescuing a dog from an elderly woman who was going into, assisted living, and his name's Buster, and he is just the most amazing dog in the world. And I've turned into this crazy dog lady now, and I just love him so much. And it's funny, people who don't love dogs and don't have dogs, they don't really get it. But when they
are a member of your family. Oh, very, very much
absolutely, so. Absolutely. He sleeps in my daughter's bed, and he's just he's such a love. So I think I could never foster dogs, because I would literally have 30 dogs living in my house, because I don't know how I would give them up. That must be the hardest thing.
We have this conversation regularly, but we have created there is a max of 4 in this household, 4 dogs. So we can keep doing good and fostering, or we can have 4 dogs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's a good rule to follow. You just have to have a hard and fast rule that you do not deviate from. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. Sure. So tell me more about, I know that what's different about you is, the area that you're in is so amazing, and you have a great team. But what do you think makes your team different than your competitors?
So, as I mentioned, I'm very hands-on. I also come from that background. So I graduated UCI in 99. Mm-hmm. First job went directly into mortgage finance, and was working for a large lender till 2003, then opened my own brokerage that was just doing loans. Okay. And had that till 2008 when everything went bananas. Oh, yeah. And over that time, so I saw it from the lender side, I saw it from the broker side. My broker shop actually built up to like 70 employees. That's great. So there was, a lot of the things, the challenges that lenders have to deal with, that clients deal with, I have seen. It gave me a unique perspective. And I share that perspective with my team. So one of the reasons I think my agents work really well with me is I'm very available, and I can help them through a lot of challenging situations. So I think that's one of the things that makes me and my brokerage different. We're very lean. As I said, this is my first business. So there's a lot of brokerages in Newport Beach that they're spectacular looking on the inside. Mm-hmm. And they have a lot of support staff. And that, to me, as a business owner, says, okay, this costs a lot of money to run. Yeah. My value proposition to my sellers is, we're lean.
Yeah.
We all work. I have a small office that I use just for me, but most of my agents work out of the house. We don't have a large retail space. We don't have admin staff. The difference meaning I spend that money marketing for my clients.
Oh, yeah.
So all that overhead cost that these other brokerages have to deal with, I spend that money back on my clients marketing this home. So that's a big difference, and that's usually the value proposition that I give during my listing presentation that really makes people scratch their head and go, God, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Absolutely, because I think what maybe people don't understand is that, the realtor that you choose, one of the things you should be looking for is how they're going to market your home, because that's out of pocket. You have to pay that upfront before you even sell the house.
That's ultimately what you're paying for the most of.
Yeah. And what are some of the things you do for marketing?
So I do a lot of online marketing.
Oh, great. That's where everybody is.
Yeah, I do. So on every one of my listings, I do like a 3D virtual tour so people can actually walk the home online.
Yeah, good.
You'll see a lot of agents who do like the slideshow, that they'll take some pictures with their camera and then do like a slideshow to music. Mm-hmm. To me, that doesn't give a potential buyer a real good feel of the home. Mm-hmm. But if you walk around through the home online, and I mean, it's a great 3D immersive product, that it's a very different feel. We do a lot of Facebook marketing.
Do you have a company that does that video for you?
I do. I actually have a guy my photographer. He's a veteran, U.S. veteran.
Oh, nice.
And his whole thing is trying to help other soldiers as they come back get reacclimated. And
good.
So he actually brings other buddies and other guys that have served to help him do these. And he's a great photographer, and it's a great cause. So
that's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. It's sure a better quality than having an agent just shoot it on their iPhone.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And again, that goes down to cost. It costs more. Mm-hmm. I also build like a dedicated website, or have someone build a dedicated website for each listing, and things that normally you'd only see on large dollar amount listings, I do on all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the online, I think, is really, really important, because that's where people are looking online. I mean, I remember back in the day, about 100 years ago, when there was the MLS book with all little black and white pictures, and the realtor had total control over which houses people were going to be able to see. Now they come to you already knowing what they want to see.
92% from, according to the National Association of Realtors last year, 92% of all homeowners, all buyers, find their home online.
Oh my God.
Why you would be advertising anywhere else is crazy.
Yeah.
You've got to, so we throw all of our money towards that.
Yeah.
And Facebook actually does some amazing things where you can geographically target where these ads show up in people's feeds, and it's actually proved to be really great for us. So we do a lot of that as well.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic. Well, I won't ask you too many questions about that, because I don't want your competitors to learn about it.
Sounds good.
We'll just keep that one under your hat there. So, the name of this show is Real Estate Game Changers, and I think of you as a game changer. One of the things I think that we haven't mentioned haven't really gotten into is the fact that, you're a business owner, and I think realtors that are also business owners have a very different mindset. And like you said, like running lean and just, investing that money that you're saving on admin stuff into your clients' marketing campaigns is brilliant. And what else do you think makes you a real estate game changer? Besides being exceptionally handsome. I
don't know about that, but, I think, I really think I put my clients first. And, let me give you an example. So, anytime a buyer is buying a house, they do a home inspection. Mm-hmm. There are so many areas in there where they go, is this a problem? Chances are they're not a general contractor and probably don't have a lot of ideas of how to fix things around the house. Mm-hmm. I am very handy around the house, bought a big, one step away from bulldozing the house that we live in now. I mean, it was a mess, and we have rebuilt it. And so I have some good insight there. So when we're going through their home inspection, there's areas where, if I wasn't the person I am, I could say that's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. But knowing what I do know about homes and being the person I am, I can also tell them, hey, you know what? This is about an $80 fix. This has the potential to be a $4,000 problem. So we need to investigate this further, and we're going to spend the money right now to do our due diligence and see if this is going to be a problem. Trust me, you'll thank me later, and if it's nothing, at least we checked.
Yeah.
That is a big area where an agent could say, don't worry about it, it's fine. Or they'll just rely on what the inspector said, and they'll have a problem a year down the road or 2 years down the road. I think that would be an area where I'm very capable and able to help my clients.
That's very good. And that's a really good point about being handy and knowing how much approximately these fixes are going to take. And it also comes down to having your clients put their trust in you and really having their back and protecting them. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's what they're paying me for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been a wonderful interview. I really appreciate it. And I would like to know if you could please explain how people can contact you if they'd like to get a hold of you.
Totally. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's been great. Thank you for having me. You can find our brokerage website at www.coastalgroupoc like Orange County.com. And you can call us at the office. You can reach me, but you can call any of my agents at the office, 949-371-8006.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the show. It's been just absolutely wonderful having you, and I think I got to go and give my dog a hug.
Please do. Thank you so much for having me.
This has been another episode of Real Estate Game Changers Radio with your host, Suzanne Doyle-Ingram. To hear all episodes featuring our hand-picked real estate game changers, visit us online at www.realestategamechangersradio.com.